Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. What we've been experiencing in crypto, and certainly specifically with XRP over the last few days in particular, is normal volatility. Even in a bull market, this is normal volatility. And you will see, as I'm going to share perspective from a number of different chart analysts, including I think maybe 7 or 8 different XRP chart analysts, the firm expectation has not shifted. I know XRP was what did it get up to recently? Like a $2.36 or somewhere. As I record this, it's now $2.13. Bitcoin's down a little bit too. It was closer to 98,000. Now it's 94,755. This is the type of activity, especially when it's prolonged, that will shake people up, but it's absolutely normal. From a historical perspective, it's normal. Ask a chart analyst that doesn't suck at charting. They'll tell you, now this stuff happens in charting. So the cool thing, though, if history is to rhyme with itself, and the analysts that I follow, because I think they're reputable, they'll tell you this. The best is going to happen, and some of them think it's very, very close. And there's certainly a chance, and I've seen some analysts say, it looks like this cycle may be taking slightly longer than the last one to play out. But even the analysts that argue that, they still think that the various metrics and what the formations are seen in the chart, they still look the same. So tons of reasons to be very optimistic that we're about done here. But there's going to be another incoming surge for XRP, and it's going to be absolutely massive unless this time is different. But those are famous last words as far as I'm concerned. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, as I record this video, it is 7:01 p.m. Central Time, which is my time zone. It's Monday, May 5th, 2025. And here's a post from chart analyst TechDev. Speaking of an analyst who's basically been highlighting data that shows that, at least in his estimation, things are looking the same as they've ever been. It's just the timing is slightly different from cycle to cycle. But he wrote here, this is always when it started. And so he's got the price of Bitcoin up top and the global business cycle on the bottom. And you can see that each time the cycle from when you start to see those major longer, that's what he's arguing here, going back literally to 2011 here, but it's still the same. This is the moment. So if this, and look, this is somebody who's been in crypto practically from the beginning. He's saying effectively, this time isn't different. This is normal, right? Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache. This is the market cap USDT dominance percent. So we get, this is Tether, of course. And he said, USDT dominance is still far from where it belongs, and that is further down. Send Bitcoin and altcoins higher. Yeah, so the reason that he's saying this is because, is frequently the case, USDC, Tether, these stable coins, they're called dry powder, especially when they're built up and people are sitting on the sidelines. But this is what happens every time, is literally every cycle. When Bitcoin finally is hitting its peak and altcoins are going, you see a decrease in Tether dominance because people get rid of their Tether and start buying stuff. And some of that's people FOMOing in. For some people, they wanted to wait to see a firm reversal if they're the trader types, and then they'll start deploying their dry powder. But this is where you would expect things to be at this point in the cycle. This is very normal. It's just more confluence. That's why he's highlighting this. What, Tether dominance? Yeah, well, not for long. Bitcoin's going to go up dramatically. Although Bitcoin will lose dominance too. The price will go up. It'll have its final parabolic run. Altcoins will just outperform. That's all that means. There's another post here from Mustache. This is the crypto total market cap. And he said, in case you missed it, the total market cap has reclaimed a 1.5-year trend line in a weekly chart. And then he sarcastically says, probably nothing. I think it's probably something. And this happens. Look, there's a reason chart analysts compare this cycle to the last for various coins, including XRP. And here, in this case, it's the entire crypto asset class. But you can see the line that it's testing. Going back, even where it's bouncing off of here, going back to last cycle. And then if you're talking about the trend line to the upside, which is what he's referencing here in text, you can see that as well. So even if that was a slight deviation, so what? That happens in charting. I'm not a chart guy, but I know that. I follow enough chart analysts to see that. Here's a post from chart analyst Mikey Crypto. This is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And he said, big crash up after the retest, prepare accordingly. So more optimism from another analyst who is right on. And so I always careful to watch the analysts that flip flop based on sentiment. You know, like if you can, and you can tell what the sentiment is when there's a sentiment shift. Hop on social media, or people that were screaming one thing one day, the next day when price does whatever, then they flipped. Like those are the people I don't follow. And Mikey Bull Crypto is steadfast. Like these are analysts who saw that the market bottomed, and when it did, when there's all those fears that Bitcoin was going to fall from whatever 16,000 to 12,000, those types of comments, but didn't happen. Yeah, that's who I'm interested in following. The analysts that can see the big picture stuff and have a good track record. This is not the time to be afraid. This is the time to be excited, even if we have to wait a little bit longer. Okay, I can live with that. Here's a post from Crypto Wizard. This is just a Bitcoin USD chart here, and he said, "Higher to go. I would do anything to go back to 2020. Well, maybe I don't need to. Bitcoin is mirroring the 2020 bull run in an identical fashion. The main rally still awaits. Patience pays." So you can see how things played out last cycle, going back to 2020 into 2021. That was the last cycle. And he's just saying what's happening right here. And that's the chart on the right. That's where we are now. It's playing out the same in his estimation. The best is yet ahead. And again, I keep seeing this perspective from analyst after analyst after analyst. I find it intriguing, don't you? Because if this indeed is the case, it really will be history, kind of rhyming with itself yet again. Bitcoin rocks to the top, and then everybody will be having speculation about where it's actually going to peak, and that'll be fun to find out. I don't pretend to know. But XRP is going to do the same thing. Then it will rocket. And don't be surprised if XRP absolutely continues to destroy the other top 100 coins. XRP is the number one performing coin right now out of the top 100 coins by market cap since the election. Truly amazing. How many people would have predicted that a year ago? Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, and maybe it doesn't surprise you, but anybody outside of the XRP community just probably dumbfounded and astonished by this, even though it made all the sense in the world, both for charting reasons and from a fundamental perspective. And also on top of that, I mean, I guess you could consider this part of the fundamentals, but the artificial suppression from the SEC, yeah, and that was gone. So anyway. Here's a post from XForce Global, XRP. He's just basically highlighting that XRP is what he's citing to be well within bullish territory. He says that new all-time highs look imminent, so long as we maintain that price level of $1.60, which at this point in time, at least we're safely above, but that was the most recent-ish low after hitting a new all-time high. But crypto's just volatile. I mean, think about it. XRP went to $3.40 and then back down to $1.60 very briefly. It's wild for anybody that's not in crypto percentage-wise, losing over half of its value that quickly. But it was short-lived. It didn't stay at $1.60 long. That's normal. That doesn't mean something's wrong. It may scare people who are new to crypto. That is very normal stuff here, even for a large-cap coin like XRP that's been around over a decade. Here's a post from Crypto Insight UK sharing his recent video. He said XRP to $10 plus this cycle, probably much higher. Simple math and thesis explains how this is possible. And so if you want to hear all the specifics as to how he comes to that conclusion, you can check out his video. But I'm just sharing with you, the conviction hasn't changed. He's more confident than ever. $10 plus for XRP this market cycle, but he thinks more likely going much higher than just $10. The conviction from the blockchain backer is also the same. In his most recent video, he was highlighting that this most recent retracement, frankly, common in situations like this, which I keep citing because that's what all the analysts agree on, even if they don't agree on all the specifics. But yeah, it just is the case that a retracement like this, it's normal. And it does not indicate that something is wrong. And so he still firmly believes that we're going to have one final parabolic rip to the upside, and then the market will peak. He maintains that XRP price expectations of his, XRP peak in this cycle from anywhere from $8 to $10 still happening. It's just taken a little bit longer than the cycle from 4 years ago to get to that point. Then we have this from the Dark Defender. He says, I shared some notes, and as expected, XRP found resistance at $2.22 and $2.36. This played out, and we touched $2.13 yesterday. XRP is getting ready to finish the correction and is on the last bit, but we'll keep an eye on the $2 level. Today, I will share the core structure of the fifth monthly wave and split it into 5 subwaves with you. We project the incoming surge with 5 waves indicated below, so it's actually to your left. He says, I'm expecting the initial wave towards $3, and then with wave 3 and wave 5, XRP targets of $4.40 and $6.30 in the short term. Support at $1.88. So in the short term, you're talking about getting back into new all-time high territory, finally hitting price discovery for the first time in over 7 years, because we still haven't done that. And then he does think that we're going to be peaking double digits. I can't remember his actual maximum price, but I know he's been talking about somewhere around $18 for a long time. He thinks that that makes sense based on what he sees in the charts. So his conviction has not changed whatsoever. Here's a post from chart analyst Javon Marks, XRP USD chart here. He says, something was indeed brewing just as synchronicities hinted at it, and it was a major 530% move to the upside from 53 cents to $3.30 plus. And so what he's highlighting here is what happened, well, a couple things. Last cycle for XRP, hidden bullish divergence, he highlighted the same thing playing out in 2024. We did indeed then see a move to the upside. And so that's what he's highlighting there, so he's referencing. Then he said, with lower time frames confirming bull signals, another upside move can be in the works for XRP. So despite this normal volatility in XRP from day to day, a little higher, a little lower, whatever, it's basically just sideways price action for now. He's another analyst that's seeing things in the chart, giving him confidence that we are going to see another major move to the upside. Here's another reason to think that that's going to happen. This is a post from chart analyst Steph Crypto. XRP trading volume is at historical lows. We all know what this means. Yes, we do. When volume gets lower, that is what precedes a notable move. So then you should just ask yourself, is the next move going to be a huge one to the upside or to the downside? Well, given that we're in a bull market, I mean, I would not be surprised if the next big move is to the upside. But if there's going to be some further deviation, I mean, stuff like that happens. Like I just highlighted a couple minutes ago, XRP did briefly go down to $1.60. That didn't mean it was the end of the world. But obviously, what he's hinting at here is that when it gets this low, massive, and that's what happened here. Look in 2024. You know what happened in November, obviously. But look at how volume had kind of been diminished, and then volume dramatically increased, and what accompanied that? A huge price and this price surge for XRP, the likes of which we hadn't seen in years and years and years. Just absolutely, like literally the better part of a decade, and then it just happened. So he's just noting that volume's low, and that is what precedes big moves. And I'm an optimist here. I think it makes sense to be bullish. Here's a post from chart analyst Dom. He says, XRP spot flows. We have seen a large amount of market selling over the last week, which is why XRP has failed to see any sustained upward moves. $132 million XRP net market sold. Upbit saw the most market sold at 57 million XRP. So I just wanted to highlight that's still normal in a bull market. It's just going to be all over the place. It just is going to be. And this is at the same time, mind you, in recent weeks, the smart money's been clearly buying XRP. The whales have been. Institutional money flowing into XRP, actually, as I've been highlighting here. But Bitcoin's down a little bit, too. It was closer to $98,000. You know where it is now. So normal stuff here. All that to say, like, the optimism's still out there from all the analysts that I follow. These are analysts who accurately called that we're, you know, where the market had bottomed, broadly speaking, years ago, and accurately called XRP was absolutely going to outperform the cycle and that it would break out, and they were right about that too. And they're all saying, we're not done yet. But they do, on the whole, the analysts I follow, they do agree, like, there's not much time left. Like, there's going to be a final burst, and that really will be it. That's a lot of agreement, just big picture, from a lot of different analysts who have really good track records. So I'm just going to keep following them because it's fascinating. I've got tons of skin in the game. I'm sure a lot of you listening do too. But I'm just saying there's lots of reason to be really optimistic here. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.